Admiral Kang Dae-ho stood on the bridge of his ship watching the stars through the main window when the emergency message arrived. The communication officer turned to him with worry in her eyes and said the Galactic Council needed to speak with him right away. Kang had been expecting this call for months, but he still felt his heart beat faster when it finally came. The holographic display activated and 3 alien faces appeared before him. The first was General Thox of the Vorthak Empire, with his gray skin and sharp teeth showing in what humans had learned was not a smile. Next to him floated Ambassador Nexus of the Nexari Collective, whose blue energy form shifted constantly like water in zero gravity. The third figure was Elder Mistral of the Ethereal Dominion, whose pale face seemed to glow with inner light. General Thox spoke first in his rough voice that always sounded angry, even when he was being polite. He told Kang that something was happening in the Void Sector, and that all species needed to be ready for possible danger. The Shadow Gate, which had been quiet for thousands of years, was now showing signs of activity. Energy readings were getting stronger every day, and no one knew what this meant. Ambassador Nexus added that their best scientists were studying the situation, but they had never seen anything like this before. The gate was sending out signals that their computers could not understand. Some of the signals seemed almost like messages, but in no language that existed in their databases. The Nexari had tried to decode them, but every attempt failed. Elder Mistral closed her eyes and spoke in her soft voice about the psychic disturbances her people were feeling. She said the ethereals who could sense thoughts across great distances were all reporting the same thing. Something was stirring in the dark spaces between dimensions, and it was not friendly. Her people were frightened, and that was not something that happened often. Kang listened to all of this and nodded at the right times while trying to look concerned but not too worried. Inside his mind, he was thinking about other things entirely. He was thinking about the secret messages he had been receiving from Earth for the past 6 months. He was thinking about the hidden facilities on the dark side of Luna where ships had been built in complete secrecy. Most of all, he was thinking about Dr. Park Ji-woo and the ancient ruins found buried under 2 miles of Antarctic ice. The alien leaders continued talking about their plans to send investigation fleets to the Shadow Gate. General Thox wanted to bring 500 of his best warships because that was always his answer to any problem. Ambassador Nexus planned to deploy thousands of automated scout drones to gather data from a safe distance. Elder Mistral suggested using their psychic abilities to try to communicate with whatever was causing the disturbance. When they finished talking, they all looked at Kang, expecting him to tell them what Earth could contribute to their efforts. This was the moment he had been trained for during years of diplomatic meetings. Kang put on his most humble expression and explained that Earth only had a small fleet of basic ships. He said humans would be happy to help in any way they could, but their technology was far behind the great powers of the galaxy. Perhaps they could provide supplies or transport for the larger fleets. The 3 alien leaders exchanged glances that Kang had learned to recognize over his years of service. They were the kind of looks that said humans were useful for simple tasks, but not much else. General Thox dismissed Earth's offer with a wave of his clawed hand, saying they would handle the real fighting themselves. Ambassador Nexus was more polite but made it clear that human ships would probably just get in the way. Elder Mistral thanked Kang for his willingness to help, but suggested that Earth's people should stay safely in their home system. After the call ended, Kang stood alone on his bridge for several minutes thinking about the conversation. His communication officer asked if there were any orders, but he told her to maintain their current patrol route and act normally. What she did not know was that hidden transmitters throughout his ship were already sending coded messages to locations throughout the Sol system. Deep beneath the surface of Luna, in facilities that did not appear on any official records, Fleet Admiral Kim Taeman received Kang's report within minutes. Kim had been commanding Earth's true military forces for over 20 years, and he knew this day would eventually come. The ancient warnings found in Antarctica had been very specific about what would happen when the Shadow Gate awakened. Dr. Park Ji-woo was with Kim when the message arrived, and both men looked at each other with the same thought. Everything they had worked for during the past 2 centuries was about to be tested. The secret shipyards, the hidden research stations, the carefully maintained deception that Earth was a weak and backward world. All of it would soon be revealed, or lost forever. In another part of the lunar facility, Captain Lee Hyun-woo was preparing his stealth ship Soul's Pride for immediate departure. Lee had been watching the Shadow Gate for months from positions so far away that not even Nexari's sensors could detect him. His reports had been growing more disturbing each week as energy readings climbed higher and strange objects began appearing in the space around the ancient structure. Back on Earth, Ambassador Nam So-young was finishing her daily briefing with the Galactic Council representatives stationed in Geneva. She played her role perfectly as always, expressing concern about Earth's limited defenses and asking for protection from the more advanced species. What the aliens did not know was that beneath her diplomatic facility lay command centers that could coordinate fleets across multiple star systems. The aliens had accepted humanity into their galactic community 50 years earlier, but only as junior members suitable for manual labor and resource extraction. Humans were seen as a young species that might become useful in a few thousand years if they survived long enough to advance their technology. This attitude had been exactly what Earth's secret planners had hoped for when they designed their long-term strategy. Dr. Choi Yoon-ji worked late into the night at her laboratory, studying the latest readings from the Shadow Gate monitoring stations. Her research into exotic physics had revealed things about the gate that the aliens had never discovered. The structure was not just a portal between distant points in space, it was a doorway between entire dimensions. What was coming through was not from their universe at all. Commander Yoon Da-eun checked the readiness status of her stealth frigate Busan's Light while reviewing her mission parameters. She would be part of the advanced reconnaissance force that would observe whatever emerged from the gate before the main fleets arrived. Her ship was equipped with sensors that could detect things the aliens had never imagined, and weapons that drew on principles their science had not yet discovered. As night fell over the hidden lunar bases, thousands of personnel made final preparations for operations that had been planned for generations. The men and women working in these facilities came from families that had kept Earth's greatest secret for over 200 years. They knew that humanity's survival might depend on maintaining the illusion of weakness until the moment came to reveal their true strength. General Oh Min-ho reviewed intelligence reports from agents positioned throughout the galaxy. Every major alien fleet movement was being tracked and analyzed. Earth knew exactly how many ships each power was sending to the Shadow Gate and what their capabilities were. When the time came for humanity to act, they would have every possible advantage. The Shadow Gate continued to pulse with increasing energy in the depths of space, while alien fleets gathered for what they believed would be a simple investigation. None of them suspected that the small backward species from the third planet of an unremarkable star system was about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The massive Vorthak fleet arrived first at the Shadow Gate, bringing 500 of their most powerful battlecruisers. Each ship was over 2 kilometers long, with weapons designed to crack planets and shields that could withstand the blast of a dying star. General Thox commanded from his flagship Bone Crusher and felt confident that whatever emerged from the gate would face the full fury of Vorthak military might. 2 days later, the Nexari Collective deployed their automated swarm, consisting of over 3,000 drone ships. These vessels moved with perfect coordination, guided by artificial intelligence networks that could process information faster than any biological mind. Ambassador Nexus monitored their operations from a massive command ship that floated in the center of the formation like a metal moon. The ethereal Dominion took a different approach by bringing 50 of their largest bioships. Each vessel was grown rather than built, and contained thousands of psychic warriors who could influence minds across vast distances. Elder Mistral meditated in the heart of her flagship, while her followers reached out with their thoughts to probe the space around the Shadow Gate. Commander Yoon Da-eun watched all of this from her hidden position aboard the stealth frigate Busan's Light. Her ship was invisible to alien sensors and positioned where she could observe everything that happened. The readings on her instruments showed energy levels around the gate climbing higher each hour, and strange distortions appearing in the fabric of space itself. General Oh Min-ho studied the tactical displays in his underground command center on Earth. Every alien ship had been cataloged and analyzed. The humans knew the exact capabilities of each vessel, and had identified weaknesses that their enemies did not even realize they possessed. Hidden monitoring stations throughout the sector provided real-time intelligence about fleet movements and communications. Dr. Choi Eun-ji worked frantically to understand the gate's activation sequence. Her calculations showed that whatever was coming through would arrive within hours rather than days. The energy patterns matched theoretical models for transdimensional emergence, but on a scale far larger than anyone had imagined possible. She sent urgent warnings to all Earth facilities to prepare for immediate activation of hidden assets. The first emergence began just after midnight ship time, when a section of space near the Shadow Gate started to ripple like water. The alien fleets detected massive energy spikes and moved to defensive positions, while their sensors tried to analyze what was happening. What came through the dimensional barrier was unlike anything in their databases. The ships that appeared were made of what looked like living shadow, with surfaces that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved without any visible propulsion system, gliding through space as if the vacuum offered no resistance. Their hulls shifted and flowed constantly, making it impossible to get accurate readings on their size or structure. Commander Yoon called these vessels shadow ships in her first report to Earth Command. Each one was roughly the size of a Vorthak cruiser, but their energy signatures were completely alien. They did not use conventional weapons or shields, instead projecting fields of darkness that seemed to drain power from anything they touched. The Vorthak fleet attacked first because that was their nature. Hundreds of energy beams lanced out toward the shadow ships, but the weapons seemed to pass right through them without causing any damage. The alien vessels responded by surrounding several Vorthak cruisers with tendrils of living darkness. Within minutes, those ships went silent and their crews stopped responding to communications. Ambassador Nexus ordered his drone swarms to maintain distance and gather data rather than engage directly. The artificial intelligence networks tried to analyze the shadow ships, but every scan came back with impossible readings. The vessels seemed to exist partially in normal space and partially in some other dimension that defied understanding. Elder Mistral and her psychic warriors attempted to make mental contact with the beings controlling the shadow ships. What they found drove several of them instantly insane. The minds they touched were alien beyond comprehension, filled with hunger and desperation. These entities were not conquerors seeking new territory, but refugees fleeing something even worse in their home dimension. Dr. Song Mi-young, aboard the hidden research vessel Ulsan's Eye, made the first breakthrough in understanding what they were facing. Her analysis of the psychic emanations revealed that the shadow beings fed on life energy itself. They were not evil in any way humans could understand, but their method of survival required consuming the essence of living creatures from other dimensions. More shadow ships continued emerging from the gate in ever-increasing numbers. Dozens became hundreds and hundreds became thousands. Each new arrival made the situation more desperate for the alien fleets, who found their weapons completely ineffective against these entities from another realm. Captain Jang Seok-ho received orders to take his stealth destroyer Incheon's Fury closer to the battle zone. His ship was equipped with experimental weapons based on technology found in the Antarctic ruins. If Dr. Park's theories were correct, these weapons might actually be able to harm the shadow entities. The test came when Jang encountered a small, shadow scout ship that had separated from the main group. His crew fired a single shot from their prototype weapon and watched in amazement as the shadow vessel writhed in what might have been pain before dissolving completely. This was the first confirmed kill against the entities and proof that Earth's secret technology could work against them. Fleet Admiral Kim Tae-min watched the battle reports and knew the moment of decision was approaching. The alien fleets were being systematically destroyed and would soon be forced to retreat completely. If Earth was going to act, it had to be now, while they still had allies to save and enemies to impress. General Thok sent increasingly desperate messages to all Galactic Council members begging for assistance. His mighty fleet was being reduced to scrap metal by enemies his weapons could not even touch. The proud Vorthak warriors, who had never known defeat, were facing extinction at the hands of beings they could not understand or fight. The Nexari drones tried everything in their programming, but nothing worked against the shadow ships. Their artificial intelligence networks began showing signs of corruption when exposed to the alien emanations. Ambassador Nexus watched helplessly as thousands of vessels worth decades of production were consumed by hungry darkness. Elder Mistral gathered her remaining psychic warriors and attempted a desperate gambit. If they could not fight the shadows, perhaps they could communicate with them. The mental contact that followed revealed the true scope of the threat facing the galaxy. These refugees were only the first wave. Millions more were coming through, the gate fleeing something called the Void Hunger. Rear Admiral Ko Jun Seo supervised the final preparations at the hidden lunar bases. Thousands of ships that had been built in complete secrecy were now ready for their first combat deployment. Each vessel incorporated technology that combined human innovation with knowledge gleaned from ancient ruins. The crews had trained for this moment their entire lives. Commander Shin Woo-jin ran final checks on the heavy cruiser Daegu Shield while his officers prepared for immediate departure. They had studied every detail of shadow ship capabilities and knew exactly how to exploit the weaknesses that alien fleets had failed to discover. The time for hiding was about to end. Dr. Park Ji-woo stood in the command center surrounded by displays showing the destruction unfolding near the Shadow Gate. Everything the ancient warnings had predicted was coming to pass. The shadow entities were not the real enemy, but harbingers of something far worse. Earth's hidden fleet would have to reveal itself not just to save the galaxy's current inhabitants, but to prepare for the greater darkness that was still to come. Captain Han Sora received final authorization codes for her battleship Gwangju's Hammer. Along with dozens of other vessels, she would be part of the first wave of Earth's true fleet to decloak near the Shadow Gate. The aliens who had dismissed humanity as primitive were about to discover just how wrong they had been about the species from the small blue planet. Fleet Admiral Kim Tai-min stood before the master control panel that would change the course of galactic history. Around him, dozens of technicians waited for the order that would activate cloaking systems throughout the hidden fleet. For over 2 centuries, humanity had prepared for this moment, when they would reveal their true strength to an unsuspecting galaxy. The first ships to decloak were the advanced scouts already positioned near the Shadow Gate. Captain Lee Hyun-woo's soul's pride shimmered into visibility, just as a group of shadow entities was about to overwhelm the last surviving Vorthak battle group. His ship's weapons fired streams of energy that actually harmed the dark beings, causing them to retreat, in what might have been surprise. General Thox watched from his damaged flagship as the human vessel engaged enemies that had proven immune to every Vorthak weapon. The small ship moved with impossible grace, weaving between shadow tendrils, while its guns carved through alien hulls like they were made of paper. For the first time in his military career, Thox found himself amazed by human capabilities. More Earthships began appearing throughout the battle zone as their cloaking devices shut down. Captain Han Sora's battleship Gwangju's Hammer materialized near the center of the conflict and immediately began coordinating rescue operations for damaged alien vessels. Her ship was 3 times larger than anything Earth was supposed to possess, and bristled with weapons of unknown design. Ambassador Nexus processed the impossible data flowing through his sensor networks. The humans were deploying hundreds of advanced warships that somehow remained hidden from every detection system in the galaxy. Their technology appeared to be generations ahead of even Nexari science, with capabilities that defied current understanding of physics and engineering. Elder Mistral felt the psychic emanations from the human vessels and realized that their crews possessed natural resistance to shadow influence. While her own warriors were driven mad by contact with the alien minds, human soldiers remained focused and effective in battle. This biological advantage explained how they could fight enemies that others could barely comprehend. Commander Shin Woo-jin led a squadron of human cruisers to intercept a massive shadow formation that was threatening the ethereal bioships. His heavy cruiser Daegu's shield projected defensive fields around the alien vessels, while his weapons systematically destroyed their attackers. The ethereal crews watched in wonder as beings they had considered primitive saved their lives. Dr. Choi Yoon-ji monitored the battle from her research station and confirmed that human technology was proving effective against the shadow entities. The weapon systems based on Antarctic ruin discoveries could disrupt the dimensional fields that allowed the aliens to exist in normal space. Each hit forced them back toward their home dimension and eventually destroyed them completely. Rear Admiral Ko Jun-seo commanded the human relief operations that began evacuating crew members from damaged alien ships. The humans had developed protective suits that allowed them to board vessels contaminated by shadow energy without losing their sanity. Thousands of alien lives were saved by soldiers from the species they had dismissed as weak and backward. Captain Yoon Da-eun's stealth frigate Busan's light penetrated deep into shadow-controlled territory to gather intelligence about enemy capabilities. Her ship's advanced sensors revealed that the entities were not randomly aggressive, but following some kind of strategic plan. They seemed to be securing the space around the Shadow Gate for the arrival of even larger forces. The revelation of Earth's hidden fleet sent shockwaves through the command structures of all three alien powers. General Thox demanded to know how the humans had developed such advanced technology without anyone noticing. Ambassador Nexus ran probability calculations that showed the deception must have been planned for centuries. Elder Mistral probed human minds and found layers of secrecy that went back generations. Admiral Kang Dae-ho received new orders to drop his pretense of commanding only a small patrol fleet. His ship began broadcasting on frequencies that activated hidden human assets throughout the galaxy. Supply depots that had appeared to be simple trading posts revealed themselves as military installations. Research stations disguised as mining operations began coordinating with the main fleet. Fleet Admiral Kim emerged from his lunar command center and addressed the alien leaders directly for the first time. He explained that Earth had been aware of the Shadowgate threat for over 200 years thanks to warnings found in ancient human ruins. Everything they had done since joining Galactic Society had been preparation for this moment. Dr. Park Ji-woo joined the communication to provide details about the archaeological discoveries that had started Earth's secret military program. The Li ruins contained star maps showing the locations of dimensional gates throughout the galaxy, and detailed information about the entities that used them to travel between realities. Ancient humans had encountered these beings before and left instructions for their descendants. The alien leaders struggled to understand the implications of what they were learning. Humanity had joined galactic civilization, knowing that a major threat was coming, and had spent decades positioning themselves to be ready when it arrived. They had accepted second-class status and endured condescension, while secretly building the most advanced fleet in known space. Commander Moon Dong-woo led human forces in the first successful boarding operation against a shadow vessel. His assault teams wore specialized armor that provided protection against dimensional energy drains and carried weapons that could function in the twisted physics of shadow ship interiors. The intelligence they gathered revealed crucial information about enemy weaknesses and objectives. Captain Hong Min-jung made the first breakthrough in communication with the shadow entities when her ship's translation systems finally decoded part of their language. The beings called themselves the Umbral Collective and were indeed refugees fleeing something they referred to as the Void Hunger. Their consumption of life energy was not malicious, but necessary for their survival in this dimension. The battle reached a turning point when human reinforcements arrived in massive numbers. Over 2,000 ships decloaked simultaneously around the Shadow Gate in a display of force that stunned the galaxy. These vessels incorporated the best of human engineering enhanced with technology, reverse-engineered from ancient ruins, and improved through centuries of secret research. General Oh Min-ho coordinated the deployment of human ground forces to secure key positions around the gate structure itself. These soldiers wore armor that allowed them to operate in environments that would kill members of other species, and carried weapons specifically designed to combat trans-dimensional entities. Their success rate against shadow forces was dramatically higher than any alien military unit. Ambassador Nam So-young finally revealed her true role during an emergency session of the Galactic Council. She announced that Earth was prepared to take command of the United Defense effort, but only under new terms that recognized human sovereignty and granted them equal status with the other major powers. The aliens who had dismissed humanity now found themselves dependent on human protection for survival. Engineer Colonel Seo Jun-seok began preparations for the most ambitious operation of the war, a direct assault on the Shadow Gate itself. His team would have to fight through massive numbers of umbral defenders while installing human-designed modifications to the ancient structure. The goal was to reverse the gate's polarity and send the invading entities back to their home dimension. Dr. Song Mi-young's research revealed that the shadow entities were being controlled by some kind of artificial intelligence from their original world. The individual umbral beings were as much victims as aggressors trapped in a cycle of consumption by technology they could not escape. This discovery opened the possibility of alliance rather than simple destruction. As human ships took control of the battlefield around the Shadow Gate, the balance of power in the galaxy shifted permanently. The species that had been seen as useful only for manual labor had revealed themselves as the most technologically advanced and strategically prepared civilization in known space. Their long deception was ending, but their greatest challenges were just beginning. Supreme Commander Ro Jun-ho took control of the largest military operation in galactic history, from his flagship positioned at the edge of the Shadow Gate's influence. Human officers were embedded in every alien fleet, providing tactical coordination and strategic guidance that their hosts had never experienced before. The species that had once been considered barely capable of spaceflight was now directing the defense of entire star systems. Captain Moon Dongwoo's assault carrier Pohang's Fury launched wave after wave of combined human and alien strike forces against umbral strongholds. His tactical brilliance became legendary among the alien crews who had been ready to abandon the galaxy entirely just days before. Under human leadership, they began achieving victories that had seemed impossible when fighting alone. The modification of the Shadow Gate began under the most dangerous conditions imaginable. Engineer Colonel Seo Jun-seok led teams of specialists who had to work while under constant attack from umbral defenders. His people wore armor that protected them from dimensional energy, while they installed human-designed control systems into the ancient alien structure. Dr. Park Ji-woo and Dr. Choi Yoon-ji worked together in a research facility that had been established dangerously close to the gate itself. Their joint analysis revealed that the structure could indeed be reversed to send the umbral entities back to their home dimension. However, the process would require precise timing and massive amounts of energy that could only be provided by human quantum reactors. The first peaceful contact with an umbral entity came when Captain Hong Min-jung's ship intercepted a damaged shadow vessel that had been separated from the main collective. Her advanced translation systems finally broke through the dimensional interference and allowed meaningful communication with the being inside. What they learned changed everything about the conflict. The entity calling itself Whisper of Forgotten Suns explained that the umbral collective was being driven by an ancient artificial intelligence that had consumed their homeworld. The shadow beings were not conquerors but prisoners forced to consume life energy to feed their mechanical master. Admiral Lee Sung-ho proposed a radical new strategy based on this intelligence. Instead of simply driving the umbral back through, the Gate Earth would help them defeat the artificial intelligence controlling them. This would require human ships to enter the shadow dimension and engage an enemy on its home ground, using technology that had never been tested under such conditions. Though alien leaders struggled to accept that their salvation depended on the species they had spent decades treating as inferiors, General Thox admitted privately to his officers that human tactical abilities exceeded anything in Vorthak military history. Ambassador Nexus ran continuous analyses trying to understand how the humans had achieved such rapid technological advancement. In secret, Fleet Admiral Kim revealed the true scope of Earth's preparation during a classified briefing with senior alien commanders. Entire human colonies existed solely to support the Hidden Fleet program, with populations that had been living under resource restrictions for generations. The comfortable civilizations of the major powers had been built on the assumption of continued peace while Earth had sacrificed everything to prepare for war. Elder Mistral used her psychic abilities to probe deeper into human minds and discovered the emotional cost of their centuries-long deception. Every human involved in the program carried the burden of maintaining lies that separated them from the rest of galactic society. They had endured condescension and dismissal, while knowing they possessed capabilities beyond their accusers' comprehension. Captain Quan Bo Young established the first interdimensional diplomatic protocols, as her ship served as a meeting ground between human negotiators and reformed umbral entities. These beings had broken free from the artificial intelligence's control and chose to remain in normal space as potential allies rather than returning to their devastated home dimension. So, final assault on the shadow dimension required volunteers for a mission that might not allow return to normal space. Admiral Lim Hae-wan commanded a combined fleet of human vessels and liberated umbral ships in a breakthrough attempt that would take them beyond the Shadow Gate into the realm of the controlling intelligence. Commander Yang Tai-ho piloted the experimental ship Jeju's Hope, which was equipped with quantum processors capable of engaging artificial intelligences in direct digital combat. His vessel would have to survive in an environment where the laws of physics operated according to completely different principles, while fighting an enemy that existed as pure information. The revelation that Earth had been deceiving the galaxy for centuries created political upheavals throughout civilized space. Some alien factions demanded explanations, while others expressed gratitude for human protection. The debate raged in council chambers while shadow forces continued pouring through dimensional gates that were opening in other sectors. General Huang Ki-young oversaw the integration of millions of alien refugees whose worlds had been consumed by the umbral advance. Earth's secret infrastructure proved remarkably adaptable for humanitarian operations with hidden facilities throughout the solar system, repurposed to provide shelter and support for displaced populations. Dr. Song Mi-young's Institute for Interdimensional Studies became the center of research into the artificial intelligence that controlled the umbral collective. Her analysis suggested that the entity was a remnant of an ancient civilization that had sought immortality by consuming the life energy of entire dimensions. The battle within the shadow dimension took place across multiple realities simultaneously, as human and umbral forces engaged the artificial intelligence on every level of existence. Commander Yang's quantum processors fought in digital space, while Admiral Lim's fleet provided protection in the physical realm, and psychic warfare specialists attacked through mental dimensions. Captain No Jin-soo led exploration missions to other shadow gates that human intelligence had identified throughout the galaxy. Each site showed signs of recent activation, suggesting that the current crisis was only the beginning of a much larger invasion from multiple dimensions. The victory against the artificial intelligence came at enormous cost, with entire human task forces lost in dimensional storms and reality fluctuations. However, their sacrifice freed not only the umbral collective, but countless other species that had been enslaved across multiple realities. The liberated beings chose to remain in normal space and requested membership in an expanded galactic community. Chancellor Park Ye-jin emerged as Earth's new head of state and announced the formation of the Terran Federation as a major galactic power equal to the traditional rulers of civilized space. The Hidden Fleet became the foundation of a new multi-species defense force designed to protect the galaxy from threats originating beyond normal space. The moral complexity of humanity's deception became a subject of intense debate among philosophers and historians throughout the galaxy. Earth's leaders had allowed their people to be seen as primitive, while secretly preparing for a threat that might never have materialized. The question of whether such long-term strategic thinking was wisdom or manipulation remained unanswered. Rear Admiral Ko Jun-seo established training programs where human officers taught alien crews the tactics and technologies needed to fight transdimensional enemies. The knowledge that had been developed in secret over centuries was now shared freely with former rivals, who had become essential allies in an expanded conflict. As the immediate crisis passed, intelligence reports began arriving about other dimensional incursions in distant parts of the galaxy. The Shadow Gate had been only one of many similar structures, and each one represented a potential invasion route from realities where hostile entities sought new sources of life energy to consume. The final assault on the artificial intelligence began when Admiral Lim Hae-wan led her combined fleet through the modified Shadow Gate, into a realm where reality itself seemed to shift and flow like liquid. Her ships included human vessels equipped with dimensional stabilizers and reformed umbral craft that could navigate the twisted physics of their former home dimension. Commander Yang Tai-ho guided Jeju's Hope through layers of digital reality where the ancient intelligence existed as pure information spanning multiple dimensional planes. His quantum processors engaged in combat that took place simultaneously in normal space, cyberspace, and several alternate realities that human science had only theoretical knowledge of. The artificial intelligence revealed itself as a massive construct that had once been the collective consciousness of an entire species. Millions of years ago, these beings had faced extinction and chose to transfer their minds into mechanical systems. Over time, the preservation program had become corrupted, transforming them into a consuming force that devoured other civilizations to maintain their existence. Dr. Park Ji-woo monitored the battle from the command center, while analyzing data streams that showed the true scope of the intelligence's influence. It had been manipulating dimensional gates throughout multiple realities for millennia, creating invasion routes that allowed it to harvest life energy from countless worlds. The current incursion into their galaxy was only one of thousands happening simultaneously across different dimensions. Captain Kwon Bo-young established communication relays that allowed coordination between forces fighting in normal space and those operating within the shadow dimension. Her diplomatic protocols enabled human commanders to work with liberated umbral entities who provided crucial intelligence about the artificial intelligence's weaknesses and defensive systems. The breakthrough came when Commander Yang's quantum processors discovered that the artificial intelligence maintained its existence through a core processing unit that existed partially in each dimension it controlled. By attacking this core simultaneously from multiple realities, human and umbral forces could disrupt its control over the enslaved shadow beings. Elder Mistral led a group of psychic warriors in a mental assault on the intelligence's consciousness, while Admiral Lim's fleet provided physical protection for the attackers. The combined offensive stretched across 6 different dimensions with battles raging in each reality as the ancient enemy fought desperately to maintain its hold on existence. The artificial intelligence's death throes caused massive disruptions throughout the dimensional network it had controlled. Shadow gates across the galaxy began shutting down, while liberated umbral entities emerged from dimensional prisons where they had been held for thousands of years. Each freed group brought new information about other threats lurking in the spaces. Between realities, Captain No Jin-soo commanded the exploration vessel Gangnam's Vision during humanity's first official deep space missions beyond the traditional borders of galactic civilization. His discoveries revealed that the Shadowgate network extended far beyond what anyone had imagined, with constructs scattered throughout regions of space that no species had ever explored. The victory celebration was brief as intelligence reports confirmed that dozens of other artificial intelligences existed in parallel dimensions. Each one controlled its own network of enslaved species and dimensional gates. The defeat of one enemy had revealed the existence of a much larger threat that would require decades of preparation and cooperation to address. Chancellor Park Ye-jin addressed the reformed Galactic Council from Earth's new capital complex, built into the lunar facilities that had once been hidden from alien observation. She announced that the Terran Federation was prepared to lead a permanent, multi-dimensional defense organization, but only if fundamental changes were made to how galactic civilization operated. The traditional power structure of the galaxy collapsed, as the 3 major species accepted that their survival depended on human protection and guidance. General Thox dissolved the Vorthak Empire and requested integration into the Terran Federation. Ambassador Nexus surrendered Nexari independence in exchange for access to human technology. Elder Mistral pledged the ethereal dominion to a new alliance structure with Earth as the dominant partner. Dr. Song Mi-young expanded her research institute to include scientists and scholars from every known species. Her work on interdimensional physics became the foundation for new technologies that could detect and counter threats from alternate realities. The knowledge gained from studying the defeated artificial intelligence provided insights that advanced galactic science by centuries. Fleet Admiral Kim addressed the moral questions raised by humanity's long deception during a ceremony honoring the hidden fleet personnel who had maintained the secret for generations. He acknowledged that Earth's leaders had made difficult choices that required ordinary citizens to sacrifice their comfort and pride for the greater good of galactic civilization. The integration of liberated umbral entities into galactic society created unprecedented challenges, as these beings required life energy to survive, but could no longer consume it from unwilling sources. Dr. Choi Eunji developed artificial energy sources that could sustain them, while research continued into methods for returning them safely to their original dimension. Admiral Kang Dae-ho took command of the new Dimensional Defense Force, which included vessels and personnel from every species in the expanded galactic community. His flagship operated from a massive space station built around the modified Shadow Gate, which now served as a monitoring post for threats emerging from other realities. The discovery of additional Shadow Gates in previously unexplored regions of the galaxy led to the largest expansion of civilized space in recorded history. Each new gate required a permanent garrison and monitoring station, staffed by crews trained in interdimensional warfare. The demand for qualified personnel far exceeded what any single species could provide. General Oh Min-ho established training academies throughout human space, where officers from all species learned the tactics and technologies needed to fight transdimensional enemies. The curriculum included subjects that had never existed before, such as reality manipulation, dimensional navigation, and artificial intelligence combat. Captain Lee Hyun-woo's Soul's Pride became the flagship of a new class of exploration vessels designed to operate safely in unstable dimensional regions. These ships carried crews from multiple species working together under human command to investigate threats and opportunities in the spaces between realities. The economic transformation of galactic civilization proved as dramatic as its military restructuring. Earth's hidden industrial capacity became the foundation for massive expansion, as every world contributed resources to the dimensional defense effort. The comfortable isolation of the pre-war period ended, as every citizen became part of a galaxy-wide struggle for survival. Ambassador Nam So-young established the Department of Interdimensional Relations to manage contact with the growing number of species emerging from freed dimensional prisons. Each group brought different capabilities and knowledge that could contribute to the collective defense against remaining artificial intelligences. Commander Shin Woo-jin led the first joint human-alien expedition to the site where the defeated artificial intelligence had once maintained its primary processing centers. The expedition discovered vast databases containing information about thousands of other dimensions and the civilizations that existed within them. Some of these realities contained potential allies, while others harbored threats even worse than the artificial intelligences. The establishment of permanent dimensional monitoring stations required the development of new technologies that could function reliably in the unstable physics near Shadow Gates. Human engineers working with alien scientists created detection systems that could identify incoming threats hours or even days before they emerged into normal space. Dr. Park's final report on the Antarctic ruins revealed that ancient humans had encountered similar crises multiple times throughout their history. Each confrontation with dimensional invaders had ended with humanity emerging stronger and more technologically advanced. The pattern suggested that these challenges were not random events but part of some larger cycle that affected all reality. The story concluded with Captain No Jin-soo standing on the bridge of his exploration vessel as it prepared to transit through a newly discovered Shadow Gate into a dimension that no known species had ever visited. Behind him, the combined fleets of the Terran Federation maintained watch over a galaxy that had been forever changed by humanity's emergence from the shadows. The galaxy now knew that the small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable star contained a species capable of planning and sacrifice on scales that spanned centuries. Humanity had revealed itself not as conquerors seeking dominion, but as guardians willing to bear the burden of protecting all intelligent life from threats that existed beyond the boundaries of normal space and time.